Now I want to go to G-Scale Modeling, and that involves the sponsor, who is New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings, LLC, which is owned by Alan Rogers in California.
Welcome to New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings, located in Bakersfield, California, 1 hour from the famed Tehachapi Loop. As part of building his model railroad layout, Alan Rogers took photos and made scale drawings of a number of buildings in the Southwest, many of which no longer exist. New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings has turned these photos and drawings into kits with laser-cut wood, 3D printed components and detailed instructions. We produce kits in HO, O, S, N and G scales. Our O scale kits are compatible with Holiday Village dioramas. You can see our products at train shows or use the QR code to visit our website. We hope you will try our unique kits. They are easy and fun to build, even for beginners. You will enjoy the finished models for many years to come.
And now I want to introduce the host for this segment of G-Scale Modeling, Steve Bittinger. Steve, welcome.
Good evening, Jim and everybody else. If it's noisy in the background, it's because we're just getting hit with a big thunderstorm right now. So we'll see if we can compete. First things up, since Alan Rogers was just on there a minute ago, here you go. Got this yesterday from the United States Post Office. This is going to be a unboxing event, according to Mr. Sherrill, at our future dates when we get into this Build Along series. So we look forward to opening that and getting going with that in the near future. For tonight, two subjects. Here's the first one. I bought this car, believe it or not, for $10, and it was in horrible condition. It had no wheels, no trucks, no nothing. It was missing a lot of parts. So I got it pieced back together again. And actually, what I want to do with this, I want to weather this car. I'm going to do it a little different. We're going to see how it works out. I'm going to set this car outside, and we're going to leave it out. And about once a week, we're going to rotate it side to side so the exposure to sunlight is about the same. I've never done this before. Who knows what we're going to get? But I'm looking to make it look like it's a 20-year-plus old car serving on my railroad. Since it's plastic, we won't get the same effect that you would for a metal car. So got an idea on that. My idea on that is to take these. These are iron cut concrete nails, and they have no galvanizing, so they will rust like crazy. So I am going to set this car outside and randomly put some of these iron cut nails over the top of it. And then we're just going to let the weather corrode those nails, let it run down over the sides and ends, and we'll see what we get. So each time that we're back on the show on a monthly basis, we'll bring the car back. We'll show you what it looks like and whether it was a success or maybe a great big failure. So if anybody out there's ever tried this before, let me know how it went for you. I've never heard of this, but I'm willing to give it a good shot. Anybody got any suggestions on that? We'll take those as well too before we get started on that.
Hey, Steve, what about putting a little bit of steel wool on the roof as well?
Okay, I'll put a piece on there for you. Sounds good. Anything else? So we'll have nails and steel wool on there. We'll see how that goes. So last week, somehow a lady from near Frankfort, Kentucky was directed to me because her husband is getting ready to retire. He's 62 years old, going into semi-retirement, and he wants to do a G-Scale outdoor railroad. And she was asking if I could send them information on how he should get started and what he should be doing. So I thought, rather than just correspond with this lady, why not make it part of this program for anybody who's considering doing the same? So I will say I looked up what magazine or booklet or instruction you could buy on building an outdoor railroad. Most of those publications, believe it or not, were written back in the mid 1980s, early 90s, when all of us were a whole lot younger. We could get down on the ground with not so much of a problem. Knees and backs weren't an issue. Secondly, the perspective that you get when trains are down at your feet is way different than when they're up closer to your eye level. My own layout personally is elevated. And I went to the effort to do that. Yes, it does cost more than being on the ground. Actually, I think probably G-scale per square foot is probably the most expensive layout to build, given all the things you have to go through. So with this lady's name is Sarah, with her in mind, maybe she's watching tonight, I do not know. I thought I'll just come up with a basic generic design that a lot of people could use. Secondly, that can be expanded in the future. And the important thing when you first start is don't try to take on too much at once. You know, build it with the idea that you're going to add on to it later. Track, switches, all these things in G-scale are expensive. Your best bet is to start acquiring it ahead of time. You can get it used, join a club, see if there are people in the club who are maybe getting out of it or have stuff that they're no longer using that you can acquire, because the pocketbook will get drained very quickly when you try to do it at full retail prices. Maybe a good opportunity to show, something like that, where you can pick up equipment. So with that in mind, we're going to get our plan out here. And Steve's going to hopefully adjust that so that you can see this.
Alan, can you spotlight him, please? Thank you.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. So what we have, we take a look at this very quickly. This is the outside dimensions that we have. This end down here is a little over 12 feet. Up the side here, for about 25 feet. Along the back side, almost 30. This piece and this being equal. And these two pieces here, 17 feet and another 12. The idea of this design is that you could expand it once, twice, 3 times in the future. Also, the idea is that it's not that big of a reach. If you're reaching in around this layout, we don't have a track plan. I did that on purpose because anybody can come up with the one they like. But we're going to see here that this is probably very functional for any type of idea that you want to do. Over here on the side, we have 2 views I drew. You can see I went to great effort at this very fancy drawing. Down here at the bottom, we're looking at stack up of material. Here we're looking at an expanded view, looking inside of it. So I did a couple of things. I did a little research about what can you build this out of. First of all, why to have the raised bed? Well, I think I explained that to you. One, it's more convenient to use. Secondly, your trains look a lot better. So how high should it be? I'll tell you right now, the answer to that is the human anatomy determines that. You need this to be as high as your knees as a minimum. You think about how you function with your body. And I measured my knees. I'm at 25 inches. My legs are short. I'm not a tall person. This, when we get done with this, is going to be a 28. So Steve Sherrill's playing with my yardstick at the moment. But we're looking at something. I don't know if that's on there or not. There we go. There's the height that our finished layout is going to be, 28 inches tall. Working with that height, a couple of ways to go on this. First of all, you could go to landscape blocks. They're available in 4, 6, 8-inch rises and stack those. These prices I'm going to give you are for every linear foot of construction. Landscape blocks are going to cost you $4.80 a linear foot to build with. That's just the blocks, not any other materials you need to install those. Second choice is your generic concrete block, 8 by 8 by 16 inches long. Those are going to cost you $2.25 a linear foot, or just about half the price of a landscape block. Next choice is pressure treated lumber, 6 by 6s stacked up. It's going to be your most expensive. Foot of pressure treat at the moment is $4.80 a foot. So it may be a little easier to work with, but definitely on the higher price. The most reasonable way to go is to get grade B used railroad ties. I looked up on Marketplace, and indeed there are railroad ties for sale on Marketplace near these people's address in Frankfort, Kentucky. The asking price for grade Bs at the moment is about $15. And grade Bs are good, solid ties. They're not worn out. Some of the railroads buy them for second-class use. Yes, transportation will be added to all of these items. When you buy it, you're going to have to move it to your site. So I didn't add the cost of transportation, but that would be, in every case, something you have to consider. So given that, and that these folks are perhaps on a budget, I'm going to build this in my plans using the railroad ties. Our standard railroad tie is 8 feet 6 inches long. I've worked that into this plan where we can have a full tie, cut the next one in half, and we have to lap our corners for construction reasons, and that's going to work out very well with almost no waste in the project. For the project, we will need 52 railroad ties, and if we do our math, that will cost us $780 for our ties. This is our most expensive item in building this project. Second item, we're going to need 1/2 inch rebar, 16 inches long. These are used when you drill down through the ties, you drive them down to lock one to the next. I've built plenty of layouts for people and retaining walls on construction sites, and this is exactly how we do it. The third item we're going to need is a moisture barrier on the inside. So we're going to take, if we look at my cross section over here, when we build this, here's a stack up that we're looking at. We're going to tack 6 mil poly is the heaviest you would need. You can get by with 3. And we're going to drape it down on the inside and just let the tail of it lay here to the bottom. We just want to create a moisture barrier so all the water is directed down. 2 kind of ways you can go about this. You can buy 6 mil black or clear poly, and it's going to cost you about $30 for what we need for this. Another way to go about that, believe it or not, is to buy trash bags. You can go into Home Depot, Lowe's, or any of those places, and you'll find what they call contractors' trash bags. These are a little bigger than most. Usually they're black. I just priced them. They're selling them at the moment. You get a box of 50 for $30. We only need about 40 to line the inside of this width. So what you'll be doing is taking the trash bag, which is just about the shape of this, draping it down, tacking it along the top of our wall, and you're going to lap the next one at the seam here a little bit as you go all the way around. Nice thing about that, if you have any trash bags left over, you just use them at your house. So there's no waste. On the very bottom, down here at the very bottom, the first 4 inches of the tie, that is dug into the ground. Now, I don't know what their site is like. Maybe it's pretty level, maybe it's sloping. It really doesn't matter. Either way, you're just going to be scratching out a little more material at the high end to get down and match your grade. So we're going to lose 4 inches of our height overall when we're done. If we stack up our ties, we're going to have 4 courses. It'll be 32 inches minus what we lose. We're going to get that 28 inches that I mentioned to you in the very beginning. In addition to that, on the very bottom in my little sketch here, these little things you see here, this is broken rubber. Don't go to the quarry and order a couple of tons of stone. It's going to cost you. I just called the other day. We're looking at about $21 a ton for this material. You're going to need a lot of it. I suggest, and I've done this, we have a brick plant very close to us operated by Continental Clay. They have many, many bricks that come out deformed or are seconds. They dump these things behind the plant, eventually just run over with a big dozer and crush them and use them as backfill. If you go to the plant, you can buy those for 5 cents each. We don't care if it's the whole brick, part of the brick. It doesn't matter because we're going to break them up anyway. And we're going to use them as our drainage stone in the very bottom all over our entire site. You can get broken concrete blocks, anything of that nature. A lot of the home supply stores, if they have blocks that get broken, they get on the dumpster. So just go over and say, hey, listen, if you got any busted up block, I'll come and haul it away from you. I'm a great person for going and getting things that are free that people want to get rid of. It's a great source. Next thing that you can put in here would just be to gather regular stone. Maybe you got a farmer in your area. They pick their stone off every spring if they can. Usually they'll leave it in rows at the end of fields. ask the farmer, hey, can I get down to the end of your field and remove some of that stone? And I guarantee he's going to say yes, because he'd love to get that stone out of there. One more thing we're going to need to do is all the ground underneath here is going to need to be sterilized. You can go to Walmart. I just checked, $6.50. You can get pre-mixed sterilizer. It'll sterilize that whole area for that price. $7 you're all done. And then the last thing we're going to need to do is we've got to fill this up, right? So we got 8 inches of our rubble on the bottom. We now have to put in there what? Another 20 inches or more, depending on how high you want your scenery to be, of fill material. Number one place to get fill material, contact every swimming pool company in your region. When they dig a swimming pool, I just had a guy call me. They had 4 loads coming out of a swimming pool. They wanted to know if I would take it. They want to get rid of it as close to where they're working as possible. Free. They'll just haul it and dump it for you for free. There's no reason to buy and pay for fill for in this site. So with those things I told you, we have spent $780 for railroad ties, $108 for rebar. We're going to need 90 of them. $30 for 6 mil poly or trash bags. Our rubble and broken material, $0. Vegetation sterilizer, $6.50, and our fill dirt, hopefully for free. Our total bill is $925. The layout is 500 square feet. Per square foot cost, and this is ready to go, is $1.85. And I have a feeling right now, if I was going to build bench work for you indoors, I probably might not be able to build it for $1.85. I question that the price of lumber at the moment. So I think that if you start ahead of time, don't wait till the day you're ready to go and say, oh, I got to run to the building supply place and buy all these materials. No, you need to start like 2 years ahead and gather up materials so that when you're ready to get going, you have the materials there. So with all that said, we'll see where this leads to. I'm actually going to use this plan, and next month when I come back, I'm going to have built on top of this plan the exterior retaining wall and so forth, so we see the project as it materializes and we go along. Hopefully in about 3 shows worth, we'll be all the way up and we'll have a scale model, and then I'm going to start asking all of those of you who want to suggest what is the track plan that we're going to put on here. We'll see how many recommendations I get. It's a blank slate for somebody to create. And somebody was laughing a while ago, but you know, I like to recycle. I got a whole bunch of vending machine fronts. I got RC Cola, Canada Dry, Pepsi, Coke, you name it. I got all kinds of these things because we have a factory near here that makes the fronts for vending machines, and they cleaned their warehouse out recently. And these are like 30 years old. They've been laying out there, but it's 1/4-inch plexiglass and 1/8 inch, and it is really nice material. Great for making buildings out of, windows, you name it. And the best price, it's free.
Steve, you talked about the cost of the track and the switches. I think it's per foot. I think it's very comparable with HO, definitely O scale. You're talking $3, $4 a foot for that, sometimes more now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm not up on what these gauges cost. Here's what I can tell you recently as far as a track you could buy. Used track, depending on the condition it's in, has been anywhere from $3 a foot, about $3 a foot for good track that's readily usable. Brand new track is $11 a foot at the moment. No matter who the manufacturer is, that's just about where it is.
Mhm.
So you can readily see that your cost to do track work is highly dependent on where you get your materials. Now, switches are a different matter because you know now you need a specific type of switch or left or right, etc. But if you search and you're very good about going to shows and seeking out people, you'll find them. You'll find what you want.
Anybody have any questions for Steve? Steve, I think this was fantastic. I'll tell you, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this. I'm looking forward to the next show from you. because this is fantastic. Thank you so very much.
Well, I hope our lady in Tennessee follows along with us.
Well, I hope she does too. And once you get further along, I hope she'll join us on the show and give us her comments about how she thinks all this is going for her.
Well, it's not every man that has a woman looking out for him for trains. So,
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. See you next time.